Fun enough.
What's on one?
I'd have to go watch it sometimes. We're good now? All right, welcome everybody. I'd like to call the March 10th, 2025 council meeting to order. First off, I'd like to acknowledge we're gathered on Treaty 5 territory tonight. It's the ancestral lands of our neighbors in the Placer Cree Nation, as well as many other Indigenous people on the homeland of the Red Métis. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order. Just as a note, Councillor Hopper and Councillor Forster are both traveling, so they will not be in attendance tonight. Although Councillor Hopper may call in if he gets cell service. With that, somebody should have a resolution for the agenda.
Resolution number 2025-038, moved by myself, second by Councillor Atkinson. Resolved that the agenda be adopted as amended. Amendments are to include the cemetery and the camera.
Yeah, a couple other items too, I believe, we have to amend, we have to put on there's a request for a mobility grant, so there's a resolution for that somebody should have. And we need to talk about the recycling center, letter request that came through and see how we can help fund that. But I believe everything else that's all that's missing.
I wanted to add, I think one part of our discussion may end up going to in camera, just because there may have to be some additions to, not additions, but a little more in candid discussion relating to the conduct policy.
Okay. Everybody's okay with that? Okay, so we call the question, all in favor? Opposed? It's 5-0. Okay. So we should have a resolution for the minutes.
Resolution number 2025-039, moved by myself, second by Councillor Atkinson, resolved that the minutes of the special council, public hearing, regular council, and budget meetings on February 19th, 24th, and March 3rd, 2025, respectively be hereby approved, all statutory declarations having been complied with.
Okay, for any questions with any of that stuff on the minutes? Seeing none, call the question, all in favor? And against? Carried. Okay, anybody got any recognition they want to share with this great community now?
We'll start off as usual with basketball. This weekend was a lot of the middle school. As I was just talking with Councillor Commodore, a lot of the coaches and that had visited the community and saw around, and many of them is their first time ever attending. So I'm not sure who exactly all the organizers were, but I definitely want to give a thank you again to Darcy and Kuya Hanchuk, who tended to be deeply involved, and it was great to see right from grade 6 to almost grade 9 taking part in the basketball tournament this weekend that utilized 3 of our schools. So
Well, that's great.
nice to see them starting out. Okay.
I also have a recognition for basketball then. Our senior varsity boys team won zones in Cranberry,
Nice.
and our senior varsity girls won zone here in the.
Wow, good job. Basketball, we're a basketball community. We're no longer a hockey community by the time that. So and then the provincials is coming up in a couple of weeks, eh?
Yeah, and they are going to be playing to see if they can get into provincials with the wild card spot.
Okay.
The
But
juniors, yeah. The juniors are playing right now, I think.
I think it's the.
Yeah, that's what they're playing right now is a wild card.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
I just wanted to give a shout out to the RCMP. Another busy weekend, unfortunately, and despite the fact that they are severely understaffed, they quickly resolved a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I seen them out working, blocking the road into the lake on Saturday morning. So they've, putting in a lot of effort, really, unfortunately, but thankfully.
Yeah, I had the same thing, Counselor Allen. You know, one of the things we talk about is how extremely short they are. But we have to keep in mind that, the dedication of the officers we have that come in on overtime, a lot of these guys are on days off that responded this weekend and they truly are vested in our community, so we do appreciate them. And also there was other detachments that supported this weekend, so I'm not sure, 100% sure where everybody was, but we do appreciate the work that our local RCMP and those that are supporting. As like I said, we can say, at council, we may send the wrong message at times when we say we're severely short, but we always have to keep in mind that it's the dedication of officers that we have in town that are really working their tails off. They cover us even though we don't have the right manning numbers. So we appreciate that. Anybody else have anything else?
Once again, you know, we've had a few hiccups with some of the water line breaks and that, so just the patience that everyone has had on the corner by the Wascana. And that tomorrow that roadway will be closed down, just a reminder to some.
And then I would just like to give a shout out to the town fire department. So I did attend the fireman ball this Saturday. It was great. It was a well-organized professional event. Seems like there's a lot of fun that was gonna happen. They were having a lot of fun, but it looked like there might have been even more fun later in the night. But during that event there, I got to hear some old stories from a few ex-firefighters, James Hemauer and Don McAdam. But also, Kevin was sitting with me too, so he's an old guy. But he's still active. But one of the things that was kind of interesting that night is the RCMP actually recognized 9 members of our department, the chief fireman and then firefighters, Austin, Jamel, Josh, Jaden, Mike, Justin, and Kevin. Well, I guess on January 25th of 2024, there was somebody that was in the bush, down, I think, west of town or south of town, east of town. And I guess our members actually responded and did, from what the description was quite a weekend where they were quite an event where they blazed trail like 500 or 600 yards and cut trees and hauled somebody out, and so it was a great. And so the RCMP provided them what did they call it, a RCMP Outstanding Service to the Community Award. So if you see those fellows around, as like all of our other fire people that graduated this week. Congratulate them. Okay. Moving on, if there's nothing else, there's no citizens here. There's no regional library presentation present.
She's supposed to be here, but she's supposed to be.
Well,
Yeah, that was, I'll talk a little bit more later, but that budget was discussed at the meeting on Thursdays, and the plan was to be here.
so we're not hearing on bylaws, nothing. We're moving down to social media policy. Resolution 931.
Oh, mine says 911, sorry. I have. Resolution number 2025-028, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hopper. Where social media sites are being used by a growing number of people to receive up to the moment information. And whereas the public seeks information about the community through social media sites, which provide a way of relaying information about emergencies, local events, and other information available. And whereas it is in the best interest of the community for the town to have a social media policy in place to allow designated employees of the town of the Paw ability to post information on social media sites and to allow commentary from the community. Therefore be it resolved that the council adopt policy and procedure GG-129 social media.
So again, I think this is more to ensure that we have, we're following sort of best practices and respectful, responsible standards sort of thing. The only change was last meeting that there was just wanted to ensure that there was wording in there, because this was a tabled resolution to make sure it's super clear that it includes council.
Yes.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, call the question all in favor. Um, 932,
Resolution number 2025-040, moved by Councillor Manich, second by Councillor Commodore. Whereas one council member has stepped down from Tricom Recycling Inc. board. Whereas Town of Paw should have two council members on the Tricom Recycling Inc. board. Therefore, be it resolved, the Town of Paw Council recommends Mayor Murphy to sit on the Tricom Recycling board.
pretty straightforward. Any questions, comments?
Had one, we had discussed about trying to have maybe someone with a little bit more background, such as Tanvir or Sam, involved with the board. Are we tabling that idea and just moving ahead with using on the board, excluding them, or is that something we still want to discuss and explore as
Well,
accessory members?
Yeah, I think that's completely separate to this, because I don't believe that was brought forward as a select board.
Or it wasn't brought forward as a thing, but it was brought forward as discussion, so I just wanted
Yeah.
to clarify if that's still part of the discussion or.
I think it's part of the discussion down the road. If we wanna pay more staff, they will be on the board, but this is a resolution whether we're gonna appoint myself as a board member. Any further questions? And then I think what you should maybe, or just so to not use Councillor Manich's put it in the action that if we're gonna continue on the path of having staff supporting the.
Especially when there is need for operational
Yeah,
discipline.
the only reason I ask is because in the constitution of the recycling board, it recommends town of Paul having two sitting members. They don't necessarily have to be councilors. That's why I bring it up now, because instead of having you, it could be a Sam or Tanvir in place of that. That's
Yeah,
why I
if
bring
we
it up.
want, if we wanna change it down the road, I guess we could.
Yeah, we can always really one and put Sam or Sam.
Anyway, follow question, all in favor? Hands up if you're in favor. Hands up, Reed?
I'm abstaining, just,
Reed,
I'm the chair, so. I don't know what to say.
you're against? Councilor
Yeah,
Lynch?
yeah,
Yeah,
I just,
yeah.
for the reasons I just
Okay.
stated. Yeah.
You're against, Margaret, or?
I would like to have Sam and Tanvir on there.
No, the question is, point of order, we're talking about assigning a counselor as per our policies to have two counselors
Fine.
submitted to. So you're against,
No,
you're approved,
yeah. And
one against, no one abstained. Carried. Okay, Capital Project Development Center 3933.
resolution number 2025-041, moved by myself, second by Councilor Manager. Resolved that council will approve the purchase of the safety squad bar, a camper bar, echo bike, ski, ERG, and echo rower, and the amount of $11,417.37 plus taxes as part of the wellness center equipment capital project.
Really straightforward, signed off by our controller,
I'm totally in favor of this. I'm just curious why this even needs to come to us, why Joe isn't okay to just replace equipment.
I don't know if the budget's completely approved yet, official.
Just because it's part of 2025 projects. And that's not enough.
But I agree with you, once we approve the budget, that's something we should get clarity on, because I'm assuming what I assume is because it's not officially approved yet, the budget. But it's included in. All right, call the question, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Good. Okay. Payrolls and accounts.
Resolution number 2025-042, moved by Councillor Commodore, second by Councillor Manage. Resolved that council authorize the following accounts. Pay period number 5 in the amount of $126,486. General checks number 32324 to 32374 in the amount of $68,977.79. EMTs in the amount of $1,070,478.59.
Okay. Any questions with any of the information involved in there? Saying none, call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Payrolls and accounts, committees and reports. Anyone? Going first with you today.
As for my report from MCI, our senior varsity boys team won zones in Cranberry. Our senior varsity girls team also won zones here in the pop. Today, in honor of March 10th, which is Mario Day, Outreach hosted a Mario themed event. And we had one activity that was kind of a hit was our go-karting activity, which was really fun.
Oh.
March 6th.
So can you just explain to everybody what Mario Day is? That's like Mario Kart Day? Like the-
Just like in honor of the video game.
All right.
Since March 10th, like it's MAR.
Oh, okay.
Spells out Mario.
Oh, I do. I know that.
Yeah, me too. March 6th to March 9th, some band kids went to honor band in Dauphin. I heard it was lots of fun, lots of music was playing. As for the future, our senior varsity girls will be competing for the wild card spots at provincials, and so will our senior varsity boys. So they'll get to go to the provincials.
Okay, perfect. Museum board.
Oh, sorry. I'm feeling very good. Unfortunately, I have not been feeling well and I missed the meeting. So when I joined Jackson, and there wasn't too much going on, but they received 2 applicants for the curator position, which they're pretty excited about. And they're looking at fundraising, so they're looking at doing a 50-50 draw.
Okay. Chamber?
The most important ones, of course, were the lunch and learn, which was hosted last week. Chief Maureen Brown came and spoke in recognition of International Women's Day, although it was a few days in advance, it fell into our schedule, so she was an invited speaker. It was the best attendance yet, with about 20 attendees. Next one was planned, of course, for April 2nd. It's always that first Wednesday of the month. We will take the Wednesday off before this trade show, which is also May 8th, 9th, and 10th. As of the last meeting, which was last week, was about half booked. So it looks like it should be a successful trade show, a couple of things to see, and
Is it trade show?
it always falls on that Mother's Day weekend. It does seem to be,
Yeah.
it does seem to fall over this year. But yeah, so 8th, 9th, and 10th is the trade show.
Destination marketing, on your CDC, I'll give you an update, and so for a few things later. But just as a note, we will approve our budget, or our proposed budget from the CDC on Friday, and get it to council on Monday. Cedar Lake.
Registration is now open for the 28th Vision Trade Show, which is May 14th and 15th at the RBC Convention Center in Winnipeg. 2 exciting days filled with learning, networking, information sharing, partnership building, as well as promoting cultural awareness. Some of the event highlights, you can connect with nearly 1,000 delegates, exhibitors, speakers, sponsors, and volunteers. Can explore the diverse trade featuring over 100 businesses, artists, community organizations, and more. Engage in 14 interactive workshops and inspiring keynote presentations. Access to pre-conference courses, enjoy cultural presentations, entertainment. Enter exciting prize draws and celebrate at the banquet with renowned entertainers and award presentations. Wow. And you can register online through visionquest.com. Yeah.
Library, or sorry, second. Nobody's here for that. Library board,
Oh, yeah, we did meet on Thursday. Bulk of the meeting was about the proposed 2025 budget. So the library administrators here, so she'll speak to that.
yeah, just as a note, we'll do it, and we got a few things, and then we'll come back to citizen period, and we'll get you in citizen period.
Other than that, the biggest discussion point probably was the repair work that's being done in the basement there. The remediation crew was on site for approximately, I believe, 1 week doing tear out and removal of the water from the building. Council did see some photos that were last week or the week before. As of late last week, there was still water in the basement, and water was still also coming into that section of the building. From my understanding, the inflow of water is what needs to be obviously rectified before the cleanup really and remediation can really move forward. So contractor was slated to come back in the next week or so to do further work. Obviously, it's still an ongoing issue until the water is coming dealt with. The good news out of it was that air quality testing was done and was perhaps surprisingly good. The only area that was of concern was near the entrance where the stairs to the basement are, and that has been tarped off by 3 layers of tarp, so it's minimizing the effects. The library administrator actually advised all the plants in the building is what really helped out with the air quality. So that was good. Kudos to the plants.
Oh, man, yes.
Nothing to add. Still waiting on that date. Only do you have a date?
I know,
Like
Yeah.
from, like last week I missed that meeting.
yeah, I was gonna give an update on later, in the other meeting, but
Okay.
I can give you an update. I did come to the meeting, that, Gary, or you and Gary were able to come to. Tanvir and Sam have done a great amount of work, in identifying what should be paid or what seems logically to be paid. And so I think Sam was just going to just try to work with, the last thing that he was saying, we were gonna just talk to the school division and see where it sort of shakes out and then decide, because all of their volunteer or the trustees are hard, they got a hard schedule too, because everybody's got jobs, so they're gonna see if they can do as much work as they can. But like I said, Tanvir and Sam have done a really good job of fleshing out all of that information. Okay, any other reports from council from anybody? Yeah, we had a great meeting, I think, on the interagency, a lot of preparation to get it, moved, but it went, smoother than I was anticipating. I thought it would be some, we had some connection issues, but I believe the connection issues were back at the people trying to connect because of their firewall to try to get through, because they're coming from justice and such. Because some people were getting in with no problem, some people were not. I talked to Kaylee LaFontaine, she's gonna help me, set those forms up, so at the meeting, we reviewed sort of our mandate and why we're gonna be, and sort of talking about connecting the connections and identifying gaps and common themes and sort of getting a focus effort on those gaps that we need to sort of advocate for and those type of things when it looks at justice and justice, RCMP, corrections, OCN, RM, town of the Paul, all that sort of stuff. So I think it's good. So we're gonna create a sort of a contact manual, and that's what, or a contact sort of holding spot where all the information can be put. And we'll create a spot on our website likely, where all the agencies will be set up there and have their mandates of the agencies. But we'll also partly ask what Kaylee's putting together is sort of what are the 5 main things that they do? And sort of what are 3 or 4 things that are gaps in their organization? And so that we can sort of consolidate those and make sure that there's not duplication of services and also common themes on where we want to go. Our next meeting, I believe, is April, off the top of my head, I think it's April 7th. The locations to be determined right now. We're kind of leaning towards UCN. Like I said, I appreciate Kaylee LaFontaine for stepping up and helping me. She's very keen on moving this initiative forward.
Is that, like the lunch hour meeting?
Yeah. Yeah,
If I can be added on to the email chain.
yeah, we can add on. One of the things that I caution the group is that the email list right now is about 50 individuals. And it's not that we don't want people to attend and come and stuff, but as we know, in an hour and 15 minutes, to try to have 50 some people asking questions, it's gonna be tough. So really trying to get at the agency's focus that they don't have, everybody's always welcome though, and everybody's always welcome. Not trying to discourage that, I just don't want to try to make it as effective as possible. The other thing, I had a meeting with the community, Canadian Center for Safer Communities around our community safety and well-being plan. So they gave a presentation during that meeting, but before our interagency meeting, which the next interagency meeting is going to be on restorative justice, that's the plan. So we're getting a presentation on that. But I had a meeting with them and they're getting close to wrapping up sort of the findings and start making some action plans. So they will be in the community, I believe, May 7th and 8th. So then we'll obviously have a meeting with council and that kind of stuff. Going on the radio in the morning and I went to CDC, we had a meeting. So that's all I had. Anybody else have anything? Any, see the 2 reports from San Walter and Fire Services? Any questions with that?
I'd like to know if the fire service report is what we're gonna be expecting as a report. Last meeting, when I'd asked why it was missing, you'd said that it was on the wrong form. And yet it's a different form from what every other manager supplied. So I was wondering if this is the form that the fire department's following, or are we missing details here?
Yes, unless the council doesn't want this, and not only fire department, as well as the community safety department. They are kind of function.
The community safety department?
Yes,
Yes.
if you look at their reports.
Yeah, they gave some stats, yeah.
Yes, so most of their thing, most of what they are doing is more of stats related. I don't mind if council wants specific format. I'm just giving all this option. I just want to know which one you want, because for now I've already presented 2 different reports. Do you council like this, or do you want to need to go to format? Or do you want me to have format of other managers? Because what they are doing is quite different from what public works does.
I think I've been consistent in my ask in that I'd like to see a narrative report. I'd like to see them bragging about themselves, about cheerleading for their department, how they're involved in the community, whether that be CSOs, whether it be public works, everybody, except the reports that we've received from the other departments were a narrative report about what are their challenges, where maybe council can assist, what are their goals, what are the things they're tackling. A bunch of stats doesn't paint a picture for us in terms of what is their involvement with the community, because of course they are much more than just stats, right? Stats paint one picture, but the narrative was nice to hear. Hearing the little stories from Mike would be nice, or the CSO manager, to hear how, you know what, I met with 20 different businesses this week and they're really happy with us. We like to hear those things because as much as we know they're doing things, it's nice to hear it in a public forum as well.
That can be added to the stats. That would be, you know.
Yeah, I like the highlights and any issues that there are too, just a couple bullets. Briefing like Jackson's report is helpful. I like the stats too. I think they're keeping the
Yeah.
stats and building a bit of a trend on that, so we understand. I like that, but having a couple of words, as Councilor Manager mentioned, is good as well. And which reminds me, on the recognition, I had two groups come up to me during the firemen's ball, recognizing the CSOs and the hard work that they're doing downtown. And not only downtown, but also in another area east of town. They've been involved in some stuff over there, so just passing that on to, I forgot to put that on.
I like the second chart. The one that shows the calls for a year to date and as well as 2024. I like the comparison of that second chart.
Okay, yeah, can combine the charts with the story.
Yeah, it's just the stats don't mean a lot without a narrative, right? A narrative is a good thing, because when I go and read this, unfortunately, I get to nitpick and say, okay, well, it says there were 9 fires, how come only 4 investigations done? Because Manitoba legislation says you must investigate every fire. So put a narrative in it, and then it eliminates the questions, right? It gets to say, what did we do and why we did it a certain way is good for the community to hear why particular things are done. Again, it's an opportunity for them to cheerlead for their department and get support behind them.
Where do you see 9 fires?
Sorry,
Where did you see the 9 fires thing?
when you total up the chart that carried, or
This one?
yeah, talks about how many fires, so it talks about 4 landfill fires as well as 4 structure fires. And then there was
Okay.
1 other trash fire. By legislation, every fire must be investigated, but it says only 4 investigations were done. So then you say, hey, we didn't do these ones because we were told this, and
Yeah.
therefore it didn't require an investigation.
No, for sure, that's good. Any other questions of that? If not, outstanding business, any comments on that? Okay, nothing, I just want to clean up some of this other stuff. I did receive we're going to correspondence now, if nobody's got that window.
You know, I did have something around that fish shop.
Yes,
Sorry. In there, so it says that engineering department had discussed the installation of the CCT camera with a local vendor. And the next step is to obtain pricing for the procurement and installation of the camera and their associated components. So my questioning behind that is, with the CCTV camera, will this lead to fines being handed out due to abuse, possible abuse of the garbage down there?
That's a good question, and that was a question of the asked me, because we wanted to pass the resolution, and the council requested that camera should be.
Right. And that's my thing, it's like, if we put a camera down there, how are we gonna recoup the cost for the camera? Is it going to be due to us giving fines?
I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's to recoup the cost directly because of fines, I think it's to deter people from doing certain things. Which would then reduce the actual activity down there
Fair.
of having to clean up and stuff, so I don't think, I'm not sure if we just put it in there to try to. Capture fines or what we want, change the behaviors of what's going on down here, and we're hearing that. We need to put the proper storage containers down there.
Right.
And we also have to put signs down there that says you're not allowed to dump household garbage in here. And then we also need to put a camera down there that says if you're dumping household garbage down here, we kind of know who you are. And we'll actually might call you about it, sir. And then I think that should clear things up, sure.
And just because I didn't have it open when you asked to move on. With the animated signs, of course, says work in progress, but have we now received permit request and applications for variations?
I believe so. Did you receive the permit requests for the signs?
For the animated signs, zoning bylaw amendment for animated signs is what it's titled as,
Okay, for the sign.
at the right trust. So do we have the permits and do we have the variation?
Some is working, we have made things of the. Actually, I requested that because I knew that I want to know what exams sentence.
But in the meantime, to make them legal, we would need an amendment or at least the applications to make them legal in the meantime, right? Right now, they're by our bylaw illegal signs, so have we at least received permit request or applied for a permit
I'm
and it's
expecting the parents because to be able to do it by next council meeting.
Okay. Where was I? I think oh yeah, correspondence, so let's get some of this correspondence on the road. I did receive a letter, from. An individual looking for. Support letter from mayor and council on, permanent residency application. I don't see anybody having an issue with me signing this, so I'll go ahead and sign this and give it to, Bola to, distribute. That's an easy one. I think Aniola has the resolution for, mobility disadvantaged transportation programs. If you want to read that resolution, we'll approve that as well.
Okay.
If council sees it fit to do that.
Resolution number 2025-043, moved by Councillor Atkinson, second by Councillor Allen. Whereas the Handyman requires the town to sign the Mobility Disadvantaged Transportation Program 2024 Annual Operating Report. And whereas the town acts as sponsors of the Handyman service and are responsible for any deficit the Handyman may incur. Therefore, it be resolved that council authorize the mayor and the chief administrative officer to sign the PI Handyman Annual Operating Report to be submitted to the Mobility Disadvantaged Transportation Program.
Just like to say, I don't know when you were reading it, I would have signed out a little later.
Any questions or concerns with this? Okay, call the question, all in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, the other one is, the letter from the recycling board. Our recycling center, I guess the board of directors, I believe, is requesting that we provide an advance, or we should give an advance due to cash flow issues, and it sounds like they would be needing this ASAP because March 21st is the time when they'd be not able to make their next payroll, which is kind of concerning that this comes at us this quick. So I'm suggesting what we do is we provide a $75,000 advance because we haven't actually seen their budget. They approved our budget that covers about 3 months of payroll if nobody else actually pays. And I would also ask, I'm assuming that that the recycling center has also sent the same letter to Vascular Cremation and the IRM. So because we don't have our budget approved yet, I just think that we should advance 3 months.
It's been sent to all the other ones and, the members. We are a member and we see where actually going to the, our is this week. I don't see that if we're doing that this week.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
So could we get, yeah, so could we get a resolution?
I can do it right now.
Yeah, we'll do a resolution before we close up our meeting to
My
have
question is, council has already agreed to 188.
No.
No, we haven't.
So, because I have to work the resolution.
No, as per the request of the Tricom Recycling advancing, funding to advance, a funding advance on the 2025 annual grant.
I'm not granting.
And, council, whereas then council will approve or will advance $75,000 to as partial payment on the 2025 grant or something like that. With all those whereas and whereas, here be a by, there be a result stuff. So we'll,
0043 to that, we've got a resolution.
yeah, So yeah, so we'll just let you finish that, Bola, but I think, as well, once we get the resolution. Then we'll just read it and council can approve it, but we'll do that before we get out of here today. If everyone's okay with that? And, okay, and now we are at citizen hearing, so we've got our library. Welcome, sorry I had to make you wait.
We have 13-1-1. It's doing a separate from what we just discussed.
It's usually that 13-1-1 is just a financial statements, typically it's in camera. Yeah, but I didn't even notice that, till you just said that. But yeah, it's just accepting for information.
I thought that we didn't say this wasn't a camera item.
I have no idea. Somebody keeps, I get different stories. Either way, it's there for anybody else to look at it. Do you have the resolution then? Yeah. Yeah.
Number 2025-044, moved by myself, second by Councillor Allen, whereas Tricom Recycling. The recycling center is requesting an advance on their 2025 annual grant funding from the town. Therefore, be it resolved, the council approve an advance in partial grant funds in the amount of 75,000 to the recycling center. Yeah.
You guys okay? No question?
I have one comment. I think going forward that if we're gonna get requests for advancements like this for payroll, that's something that should be identified well ahead of time.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing this, so we have virtually no time to debate it and discuss it. We're not gonna the taxpayers right by doing it on such a short notice.
Sure.
Any further questions? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Now, what's that? Now it's your turn. Welcome. So if you could just tell us your name and why you're here.
Marie Blanchette, I'm the new administrator at the library. Only been doing it 9 months, so please have patience with me. I'm here to present our budget, I guess.
Right.
So I do have it here.
Yeah.
There's one of them. I think there's 10 copies there.
Marie, before you get started, we'd like to let you know that, when the minister was here during Trappers, we made them aware that it's been 20 plus years since you've seen an increase, and to please go and see what they can do about getting you that increase.
I appreciate that very much.
No worries.
I don't know where you want me to start, if you just want to look at it and ask.
I guess, I would say, would be probably best just to point out any variances that are significant. And just kind of tell us why there's variance.
Okay, well, the biggest variance for us is within our grant, and we believe it's from town, but it could be from RM. I don't know the whole story behind it because I was not here when this happened. I was working at the library, but not as an administrator. And apparently it's $350, but without this $350, the library loses out on $6,000 of grant money.
What?
I don't understand how it works. Trent, did you?
Well, I didn't quite understand how we lose the money. If you look at the 2024 actual, it comes at 16 or 166,650, whereas the budgeted was 167. There's a $350 difference. apparently, once we hit that 167 or somewhere in around there, we lose funding somewhere else. But I didn't understand where we lose the funding.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That was done with my predecessor, so
I sat on the library board for 4 years. I don't remember that at all.
it was just like within the last year, like the last
Okay.
budget. There was some paperwork on it, but it wasn't very clear. And I talked to, the lady who does provide our grant from Manitoba Libraries.
Yeah.
And Megan was saying that it's somebody rounded up, rounded down, and because of this $350 in the grant money we get from them, it makes a $6,000 difference, and I'm not sure how, why,
Probably it's 6,000 less or more.
less.
Can we get an actual something written on that so that we can follow up with government?
I can probably find
That
something.
makes absolutely,
You know, even when she was explaining it to me, I'm not a major numbers person, so it's,
yeah, if somebody could just write that word up, maybe send it to get Counselor Allen can get it and then we can use it.
Yeah, we definitely get that away.
okay, yeah,
My
definitely.
understanding is we hit a certain threshold, so then that cuts a provincial grant down because we've hit a certain threshold. So they reduced it by this 350 or whatever, so that the library wouldn't go over that.
Well, wouldn't it, isn't it an operating, if your operating costs are going up and your funders are having to pay more?
No, I agree with you. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that that was my understanding.
Okay, well, that'd be good if we get a little bit of information.
Again, it was like, with my predecessor, so I'm not sure of parameters with a lot of those things.
So we should be giving you 166,650 instead of the 167 from the information you're receiving as a threshold possibility.
Yeah,
Essentially,
that's the way I understand.
Another thing that we noticed, again, this was with my predecessor's time, our computers for our public haven't been up and running due to internet issues, which we're working on. So, and that usually brings in quite a bit of money for the library to spend on other funding areas. So we're looking at getting that back up and running, so we're very low when it comes to our computer fees.
So we're,
code 4300 internet fees.
okay,
Yeah, usually that our computers used to bring in anywhere between $200 and $500 a month, depending on the group of people using them. So it was a pretty nice thing to have. So we're
Okay.
looking at new equipment. The issue with that, which unfortunately you can't fix for us, is the equipment that we use to give up passwords for the individual computers for our patrons. That system's not working right now.
oh,
Just to clarify, the 4300, that's income. That's what you make off the internet. So then down below, your new computers would fall into the 5301, which would be your technology.
Yes.
Oops. Who said that it's up in here?
No, she was just referring to the revenue, what they generate monthly.
okay, so what else you got?
As with everything else, books are getting more expensive, but we cut that back a little bit because we're looking at getting new computers, which we're also looking for another grant
Okay,
for our patrons. We've given our staff a raise this year, which is really good for them. So again, things are going up. They have to be able to survive too.
And that's based off of the union.
It is.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, it comes off, it's each year, they have a certain amount.
yeah, it's negotiations.
Yeah, so we have a set now for 3 years, but each year it goes up.
Yeah.
With everything.
The rental of the annex. Why is that number under budget so much? Just less rent, I obviously less rentals, but Is it the reason why there's a less rentals?
We've actually been closed quite a bit, like either due to the basement, the smell of the basement.
Okay,
We were closed for a couple of weeks in October because we were supposed to get our new internet system put in, which the people pushed back. So we were closed for a week for no reason because we thought they were coming. And then they pushed it back at the last
why
minute.
would you be closed for the internet?
Because we now have Starlink and they had to do, put some piping, like conduit piping in. And
Yeah,
they didn't want
close the
to,
building for that?
they didn't want to do it because it's up high. They didn't want to be dropping tools on possible patrons coming in the building. It was a safety thing more than anything.
What did the staff do during that time?
We were working.
Yeah.
I mean, we were working, we just didn't have the patrons in. So we were still covering books and doing our stuff.
Have you seen like a decrease in the amount of patrons coming into the library, like over the past 3 years compared to before?
It actually depends on the season and the weather,
Okay,
which is a lot of everything, because if it's 40 below, most people are not coming into the library, we're not leaving home. But during those times, we have an increase of our vulnerable community coming into the library to get warm and make their way on. Sometimes they stay in a bit of a nuisance, but you know, we deal.
Has the program with the mobility at the jail, is that up and running again?
We are still donating books to the corrections jail.
Okay.
It's not working the way it was originally started. I guess things have changed at the jail and the lady that runs it there doesn't run it the way it used to be run.
Okay.
She doesn't scan books in and, you know, you have this book for so long, which I understand used to happen. I'm not sure. Again, that was two predecessors to me. But she just has apparently in her office that she has books in. And the books go to whomever and they don't really come back in good condition. But we still do send our books that way, specific books.
So what's your big ask? If you had a magic wand, what would you be looking for from town council?
If I had a magic wand, I'd love my building to be fixed. That is the magic wand.
Oh, we're working on that. We're not, that's gonna happen
I mean,
despite what's.
I mean, I think that's our biggest thing is make my building operational in all ways again. Other than that, I would actually just like to be able to get more books into my library because people are always asking for more and more. We have a town of readers. They love to read. Our seniors love to read. I mean, so many families come in now and they're teaching their young ones with the new language books we have because we have such a multicultural community. So if I could, I would love a grant of somehow to bring in more books, more materials.
Is there other grants out there that you guys chase?
We're always chasing grants. It's not always for books.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're like I said, right now we're looking at getting 7 new computers, which would be amazing for our patron side. Because we're getting new software through an accessibility grant.
Awesome.
So we can have, if you're hard of hearing, the computers will talk to you. Instead of you trying to have to, you know, figure out what's going on, or if you have hard of seeing, you can, it'll talk to you, it'll read you what's on your screen.
I need a hard on learning computer that gives me a smack.
I'm sure I have staff that can help.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know there's always people that want help with that. No, I appreciate everything you've done here. Like I said, I know the council, if there's something that you're thinking, you know, we've got a little bit more time, but if there's something we want our, you know, our businesses to bring forward ideas and try to improve what we have today and not just be where we're always been.
If at any time the council wants to come and have an actual tour of the library, both historical and what we do, I'd be happy
No, for
to
sure.
go over our library.
I might take you up on that.
I mean, I would love to show you the library, the ins, the outs, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah,
Okay, well, you want to.
Just one point I'd like to make.
Tomorrow.
So what I'd like to make, and I would like the administrator would probably like to speak to it, but when we're talking about repairing the building, obviously the focus is on the basement, but what's not been mentioned yet is both access doors. So maybe you can explain some of the concerns with those as well.
Yes, both our doors, the front and the back, they are not very happy doors. Our front door continuously falls off its hinges. Both Sam and Jomar have tried repairing them. I was at one time told there was a front door on order, but haven't heard anything since. Our back door, this last Trappers, one of the board members for Trappers went to open the annex door and the whole locking mechanism came out with the key.
Yeah, we need to replace, we need to upgrade our buildings and that should just be in our budget, so we will bring it forward and get new doors put on the building.
Mr. Baker, Darren Baker came to look at that door because he did fix the locking mechanism and he said that door was rotten.
Yeah, no, we will put it on in our budget cycle and get that replaced this year, that's.
The fan in the bathroom stopped working.
Oh,
It's been like that for a while. I did put in a request to Jomar a couple of months ago. He wrote it down and
do you have an actual inspection sheet that you guys do every week and submit it to somebody?
we do not.
Yeah.
If we
Probably a
do,
good
I
idea to do that.
don't have it. But something that would be great. We were once told, it was before I was administrator, that we'd always have somebody from the town that would come in once a week, change light bulbs, check on everything. That never did happen. So we just seem to be.
Yeah,
Libraries-
probably. I think we can do a little bit better over there on that.
The library just seems to be pushed to the side sometimes when we make requests, so we're ignored, so it's like, who do we talk to after that?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yes, we've had this conversation, yes.
Give me the list.
And I have a recommendation surrounding your hydro costs. I wouldn't, for 2025 budget, I wouldn't drop them.
Okay,
You have them in decreased at $500. I would look at last year's budget and probably add $500 onto last year's budget. And also with your books, if you're looking to get more books, you only have $600 in your budget as variance. So if you're looking to get more books, you're not going to get very many for $600.
oh, exactly, I dropped that because I was looking at the final numbers, and
Yeah,
it's like, that's still a little out of, it's not where it should be.
But your hydro costs don't drop your hydro costs. Keep them at least the same as last year's and then add on a certain percentage more because we never know what's.
Well, we
What's
can
that?
just look at the hydro rates, you can go online and get the.
See, and that's another thing with our, going back to our building, it's all mostly baseboards, and for the last few years, the administrators have been just using the,
Equal payment plan?
No.
the breakers to turn them off and on.
Oh, that's not right.
No, so we have to go on our hands and knees in some places and now turn on
100%.
the baseboards.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work
It
running
is.
the library.
Yeah,
Is there another?
well, that's a bigger picture
It is,
thing,
it's a
but.
bigger, there's
But
that
if you-
magic wand.
No, but if you could send, but this is great, if you could send a list of that stuff, give it to Counselor Allen.
Okay,
And Counselor Allen can bring that forward to the budget. Like I said, if, I don't know how many baseboards you have, but we shouldn't have employees in breaker panels either.
And if your exchange system gets up and running, then that will also increase your hydro costs as
yeah,
well.
right now that thing just makes a lot of noise and throws
It
dust around.
hasn't worked in over 6 years that I'm aware of.
Since approximately 2014.
We've had people look at that in the past, and it's not a simple fix.
Mhm.
No, and that's the thing, which is why it sits there and collects dust.
Yeah, but I don't wanna say what they told me about it. Okay, no, yeah, if you could, like I said, talk to Counselor, your rep, Counselor, appreciate you coming tonight and sharing your,
I did
Ideas?
have a question.
yeah.
And I sent you an email on this on Saturday or Sunday, I think. It came up at a board meeting, Counselor Allen brought it up. that, we do have, repairs and maintenance area here. 5650. That is supposed to be building maintenance and building repairs. We were wondering what actually goes into that, because I did look at a spreadsheet of what was in there. And there's everything from the alarm that's on the building. Is that our responsibility, town responsibility? There's keys in there. We had a mouse problem, so there's mouse traps in there.
The answer I think I gave is just a general, and you probably best to speak, I'm assume with either Bull or Laura.
Yeah.
But, if it's for your program, it's your cost, kind of is how I look at it. So like extra keys would probably be a cost you bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
The alarm system, maybe not, but yeah, that'd be more of a Laura question, I think.
Okay, because that was kind of like one of the questions that were like,
I just look at that as like small repairs that you're going doing around keys, fix a doorknob. That
Yeah, I
kind of
think-
stuff, replacing a door or, you know, the air conditioning, that would be the town.
I think how it came up was, you mentioned that in there was the replacement of a plug-in cover or something
yeah,
like that.
the electrical covers
Yeah.
and that, but some of them are supposed to be metal because of the room that they're in the annex. And I know some were replaced, but there's one that, a plastic one that was broken. I mean, they're old, they break.
And because you said it now, I think that budget amount should actually be at least what it was before, since your actuals are 800, but then you dropped it
Yeah.
at 3/4,
Well,
so.
and I only dropped it because we weren't sure like what actually belongs in that.
Yeah,
'Cause what
But yeah,
was-
I would support at least having it in that 600
Yeah.
as a backup for, like you say, little items. You break a light switch, rather than having maintenance have to look after it. You bring an electrician in and change light switch, to me, that's.
Like, it's like, I know someone, my predecessor had like toiletries in there, like. And I don't think that's building maintenance, that's janitorial and cleaning.
But yeah, you can get clarity from our controller on that. She can for sure explain to you what all the codes should be. And
Okay,
there should be descriptions on all of them anyways, and if there's not, we should create that for the
And
next
again,
person.
I am very new at the job, this is my first budget, so.
Who is your cleaner? I noticed that one.
Marcia Glenn,
Oh, okay.
but her prices haven't changed, but I've been putting like any of the cleaning supplies we buy for the building, the toilet paper and everything, I've been putting that into the cleaning and janitorial.
When did you get that supplies for the town?
We've been getting them at North of 53.
Yeah, but wouldn't we get a better?
You probably
We
would.
need to look more.
Yeah,
Do we do the same with the museum?
well, I think we probably should.
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know what the current practice is.
Yeah, I don't know what the practice is either.
Yeah, we can cut that cost, but get them the same level of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're paying the bill anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, anything else?
No, not unless you have any other questions for me.
No, great, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
You can stay the rest of the night if you want. Only got another hour or so.
I have a dinner date with my daughter.
Oh, okay. Seems a little bit more important, but
Yes.
we're kind of feeling bad. Budget's been slashed now.
Her father,
That was a test.
her father's working and we're going on a dinner date.
All good. Well, you have a great day. Thank you for coming and,
Thank you very much.
and like I said, keep, your counselor, with that
Okay,
information and we can.
We'll put a list together probably tomorrow, building couches. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, before we go on, the other correspondence I just wanted to talk about is the cemetery. This weekend, there was on Friday night, I got shared some information about a video about some of the work that we've done out at the cemetery. And first off, I would like to apologize to anybody impacted on that. I mean, I know it's a sensitive area and we really need to do whatever we can to ensure that, you know, we respect this area, because as I think this council is committed to, we believe this is a sanctuary. Should it be our nicest looking park in the community? And we need to take extra care and caution. So when I look at the report that you've put, Bola, and I would ask if you can include this into the minutes of the meeting. on the incident report. I see a few things here. I know that there's some discussions about the equipment's a little bit too big to get through there. And maybe a different equipment's required. And maybe we have to, if we have rules with regards to stuff that's left in the fall and the spring, then we need to make sure people are aware of that. And that we communicate that so we don't get ourselves in the spot. But what I would say is that there should be, I don't know if there is, and maybe others can jump in on it, is there needs to be a documented procedure on how we actually prepare a grave, no matter where it's at. And that if we need to put markers up in the spring or in the fall before winter, so we can see where we're going, then I would suggest that we buy orange markers and mark all the pathways that we have potential graves that we've got to be accessing, so that we respect the individuals' families that have got their loved ones located out there. Like I said, I know that from reading the report, nobody did this on purpose, but even when it's by mistake, it still hurts. And I think we've got to do whatever we can to make sure that something like this never happens again. So I would ask if this gets placed on the to-do list. I would ask that a procedure be written up that shows how we do this and it's shared with council. And so everybody knows. And that if we don't have the right equipment, that it's identified what we need to do. And also we mark the trails that we need to have.
I'd also like to add that this procedure come back to us.
Yeah,
Like by a set date.
yes,
Say April 30th or something.
yeah,
I think we need to have this lined up and in place by the fall, so that we don't have to worry about it for next winter.
absolutely.
I would also suggest that we get signage for out there to tell people that your trinkets are going to be removed, tossed essentially come fall. In case anybody wants to save some of those, it might help us in getting the cleanup done as well. People are going back out there and taking their own stuff. I noticed in this report that we were given, I'm assuming that's from the rec director, is that who did this?
Yes.
Yeah. Pointing out things like benches and whatnot that are there when those benches were obvious probably the whole summer as well. I'm assuming nothing was put on those benches, recommended they be removed or anything like that. So
Yeah.
we as a town have to take some ownership for me in this as well.
I think in the past, we would put something in the newspaper reminding people that this snow is coming, right?
Yes.
And it's time to, and I don't know if we did that
We did
this
that
year.
last
We
year,
did,
too.
okay.
I will put it on the Facebook.
Well, I think we need to do more, guys, and we need to be out there doing it, and out of respect, if we have to store some of the stuff. I do believe, and I don't know if council manager remembers, but I do believe we had a discussion on benches. And that if they weren't in the way, we didn't have an issue with. So because that was a discussion with regards to, I don't know how many years ago that was, about somebody, no, it was this council. Somebody had got a headstone that was like a bench. And there were some discussions on whether you can have a bench or not. So I think we've got to make sure our policy is super clear on that.
I think we have to review the general policy.
Yeah.
of the cemetery.
Yeah.
And there is no, like a structure procedure.
Yeah.
There is no structure for if you go and dig a grave, what should I do? So
Yeah.
because there is no structure, there will be accountability. So everything's still coming back to us, but we have to organize ourselves.
And like I mentioned, I don't think anybody did this on purpose. It was careless on our part, and our procedures are not in place. And we just gotta make sure we don't do it again. Anything else on that? So,
No, I think, like I said, just what you said, we need to be more proactive, set firm dates on when we're gonna ensure the place is cleaned up. The only way we're ever gonna have it looking like the sanctuary we'd like, in the park we'd have, is through consistency.
yeah,
Consistency is gonna come by expectations of every grave.
Yeah.
We expect people are gonna put trinkets. I know we do have policies that say they will be removed for grass clipping. You know, there's no really a season, but,
Yeah,
just, we need to make people and the users of our cemetery aware of what can happen, so they're not surprised.
yeah.
And I don't think anybody does anything malicious out there.
No,
From the town of the paw, accidents will happen, carelessness out of haste or whatever may be is going to happen. And yeah, we have a good policy, we should be okay.
perfect. Okay, so what we'll do, Bola, is we'll expect, if you could put this, we would like to have for the second meeting in April, we would like to see the procedure updated as a draft at least and what we're doing going forward. And maybe what we can do is have, the maintenance guys or whoever's responsible come and tell us how this is not gonna happen again. Okay. Trying to figure it out again. Okay. Yeah, so we're in correspondence still. And we're down into committee of the whole, I believe,
Resolved that we now move ourselves into the committee of the whole with Mayor Murphy and the chair to discuss matters requiring our attention.
Okay, QICs, everybody's read through that. My only comment, had one comment. I'm not asking for change, but I don't think that the QIC committee council people should be doing direct reporting for not become the spokespeople of that department, but more of an update, supportive comments with regards to, so that's my only clarity.
I agree with that as well, because there's not to be action items for council coming out of the QIC.
So that's under committee's roles and responsibility, reports, and committee council represents. Reports, committee progress and recommendations to council. I'm a little bit concerned with that because, again, we are not taking place of the management staff. We're here to support them. And if it's not that, council managed doesn't come from recreation and say, yeah, we had a meeting last week and we're doing this, that. It's kind of a good update. But if there's specific things that recreation needs, he wouldn't come here and say, hey, I'm here for recreation. This is what they're looking for.
Director should do that.
Yeah. So that's my only comment, as long as that's how that is meant to be, if that's the intent of that, I'm okay with it. That's just a long. So I don't know what we have to do to that, it's just,
The only thing I'd add, that's just more of probably OCD on me, but for meeting procedures, I'd include adding under the meeting agenda, the minutes from the previous meeting, not saying we're approving them or anything, but if we're gonna take minutes, we should
Yeah.
come up with the next.
sure. Good question, good one.
And that should be our reports as members, is basically
The
giving
minutes.
a Coles Notes version of our.
Yeah, exactly.
Here at each council meeting.
I think you can give an update, like I
Just,
said,
it can be quick.
yeah, the minutes are gonna be on the agenda anyways. They're part of the agenda, so if there's a QAC update, if anybody's got anything to add, they can.
No different than what we've kind of already been.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody's okay with that, if we can get that revised and brought to next council. I put in this issue sheet on arts display, so, I've had a couple comments lately and a picture sent to me about the airport is completely barren out there in the lobby. There's nothing on there. And as I was talking to an individual, we're also talking, I know Councillor Atkinson is working with Bola on the indigenous art that be painted on our walls that we've been asking for a couple of years. But when I was talking to Gabrielle, there's this thing called the Arts Council. There's this thing they call a Fall Arts Council collection. And so what it is that there's local artists will will bring their art and they will display it in the building as part of the art collection. So they can do it in here, do it at the library, or do it at the airport. And what we would be in for is a one-time cost of frames, so just a quick guesstimate was around $2,500 that we would include in our budget. And then there's about a $1,500 just to provide some small honorariums to the artists. I think that would be a great addition to bring some color to this building, especially. But if you think about our airport, you know, that's the first impression of people coming into our community, and that's a vacant building with nothing in it right now. There's not even chairs or something, somebody told me. I got a picture sent to me. So that's what I'm proposing that we include in our budget, and then it was really just for discussion here on our budget, and if everybody's okay with it, we can go forward and support it.
I'm in support of the one-time startup fee of the $2,500 in frames. I do know that honorariums are already issued. Now, whether this is something that's different, I don't know. But I know when they have, that show honorariums are issued. I'd like to take it a step further with this and offer the artists to be able to hang their artwork up at the airport every day of the year.
Oh, no,
Have
absolutely.
it up there
Yeah.
for consignment if they choose
Yeah.
and have that an option. I know 6 years ago, we talked about this and it didn't come to fruition, but I would support this.
I very much like this, as well. I wouldn't mind expanding it to not just artists, but also to look at,
Yep.
pictures of like history of the paw.
Yep.
And also, we have talked in the past, I don't know where it went, but we had talked about developing a policy for nominating prominent citizens of the community. This would be a great place also to highlight some of our prominent citizens, especially
Yep.
non-athletic ones. Obviously, the arena's got most of that. So it'd be great to see all the positives the plan has to offer, showing right when people first got the plan.
Oh, that's a good idea. So what I'm suggesting, maybe what we do is instead of us trying to do the heavy lifting on this, we'll just contact the arts group and just say, hey, in theory, you have council support and that, kind of build some plans, let us know what you think, and sort of, we're talking, $4,000 sort of thing, give or take. It'll be at cost or whatever, they're not, it was a guess, so.
If they could just clarify though, if it's part of that art block for the honorariums, because the Paw Arts Council already provides that.
I think they're doing something additional as well.
Something different
Yeah.
or added into
I think it
that.
might be added into it.
Okay.
With other artists. But I'm not 100% sure, so let's just, maybe I'll let you, or I can talk to Gabrielle, just connect those guys and then talk to you and then they can come up with a plan. Appreciate that. Okay, meeting date change for AMM, I don't see any issues with that, everybody okay with that? So change the 14th meeting to the 21st and have the 28th meeting as well.
Okay.
Good? Yep. Okay, tax sales, so that's a standard thing, so we'll get a resolution next. This is part of the municipal act that we have to do annually. And I missed.
Something in here.
Policy amendment.
Oh, yeah, sorry, so there's a policy amendment on what was requested, to clarify. It's the policy is the same code of conduct for council, but it's just reinforcing that when we are booking meetings with council, or if we're gonna have meetings with staff, that we do it through the CAO's office. If we receive concerns from community members, so we want to pass them on as well, but always use the tools that we have in place, that BCity app and the town website, and then add in the social media policy.
Are we not doing this already? Or we're doing this already?
The only change is the yellow part, right?
Yeah.
Nothing changed.
No,
Council address some of these things, but we have to document it.
Everybody okay with that?
The only part,
Okay.
sorry, yeah, the only caveat I put in there is, I'm gonna assume we can exclude QIC meetings from having to do a written request.
Well, that's part of the program anyway, so Mo was aware of that anyway.
Yeah, just like the way it reads, is any official meeting between council members and town managers or employees must be scheduled in advance as written request. And so because it's just an ongoing thing, they don't need to do a written request for that.
Scheduled.
Yeah, so we can,
It's scheduled in advance.
yeah, with written request, that's the part I just want to make sure we don't have to do a written request every time we do it QIC. Other than that, I agree.
So the only part, I guess, that I had a question about is what is considered or what is the definition of an official meeting?
Anything that has to do with operations and efficiency.
Operations?
Yes.
We shouldn't really be involved in that anyway.
No, we're not.
Yeah, like if there's a complaint outside and someone complains to council member outside about something. And council shouldn't give the direction, but council should be able to say, this is a complaint I received. Right? And if that is being posted in this city or our website, I should be able to assign it to appropriate manager to work on, right?
So the reason I asked the question is because the letter that you sent me last week or 2 weeks ago used the words official meeting. When what I was doing was following our policy in requesting step 1 of discussing something to clear the air, and it was considered an official meeting. To me, that is not an official meeting. That's sorry, I'll let out a secret here. I have managers call me on a regular basis to ask questions about fire code, to ask me questions about building code, to ask me questions about operations. From a professional point of view, as Mayor Murphy has said before, if I have something that I can add to their knowledge, then I'm going to supply that. And I think that's a fair assessment if they're seeking to ask that question, right? In this case that I'm referring to, where you sent me the letter about an official meeting, that was not an official meeting in my mind.
Let me just clarify here, so. So I don't have all the details of what letters and stuff, and I don't want to respect.
Sorry, this is why I said.
Yeah, no, but I think, I don't even think we don't need to, because I think we just clarify real quick, so when we request a meeting with our staff. We should wait till we get the meeting arranged, and I think that if we're coming here to deal with something that we've requested in a meeting for, that sort of seems like we're circumventing the process. So what I would say is that if we have to meet with staff, especially over when you've requested a meeting, if we're requesting a meeting, wait for the meeting to be scheduled or through the CAO. I do agree with what Councillor Manich is saying, is that I don't want to restrict the conversations between us and staff. If they call you for something we're never giving administration or staff direction ever. We will share information. We will tell them, like, somebody calls me and says there's a gigantic hole, I might put it in BC and tell Sam. But I'm not telling them to go do it. I'm just saying, hey, by the way, there's a big hazard over there, just so you know. If we need to have a meeting with somebody specifically and in this situation, maybe a little bit sensitive, we should just follow the process. So that's all. And I don't think this is changing anything on how we're doing things today. That's all I would say.
So this added section here. Did you get this from someplace? Is this just what you developed yourself? The yellow section that's been added in?
I developed this myself.
So this isn't based upon what other communities do?
Honestly, I did not check for other communities.
I'd be curious how other communities do.
And yet, again, my only question is, what is classified an official meeting? I would like a definition to what that means. Again, we should never be involved in operations anyway, unless there's something that council as a whole has come together to say, we don't like an operation, and as a council, we've decided or asked to change a policy or a procedure on how we do something. That'd be the only operation we should be involved in. We're governance, we're not operations. But giving the example of why I asked the question, if I'm following a policy that states stage one is to try to have a personal meeting and try to head it off. When that meeting is, say, not welcomed, then my next question would be, okay, I need to go to the CAO because I've exhausted what the policy currently says in this area. Now you go to the CAO.
But I think it's the other way around, Counselor. I think the person that feels that way approaches the you or the person, not the other way around. Not
But
the
it
person.
applies in this situation, it goes both ways.
Because we have to make
No, I
that
don't think so.
in camera because most people will not really understand.
Yeah. Okay, so we can have a little bit, I don't wanna spend a whole pile of time on this, the bottom line is that. We don't schedule meetings, it's just reinforcing, not saying we are, but we can't, we don't do that, we don't schedule meetings with staff without the CAO knowing. And I think we all agree with that, and we all agree that we don't give direction and all that sort of stuff. Is that okay for everybody? Everybody agrees with that
Yes.
part?
Yeah, the principle of it for sure. I said, I'd just like to know what an official meeting is. If I stop by and visit Laura and we have a gab session, is that something that should have been scheduled through the CAO?
Well,
I
I mean,
would say yes.
So that means we should then create a spreadsheet, just like we did for our committee room, of any visits that are scheduled. We need to have, because I may get scrutinized differently than a different counselor maybe.
let's.
So that may be part of the discussion we should have in camera. For openness of meetings.
Let's go to the camera.
Okay, anything else on that? So we are going to, in camera, we have a couple of financial, agreements that we're discussing with our citizens, so there won't be any specific action coming out of this, committee or of the in-camera session tonight, and will be shared in our next, any actions will be shared at our next council meeting. So, stand camera.
Resolved that we do now move ourselves into the in-camera portion of the committee of the whole with Mayor Murphy in the chair to discuss matters requiring our attention.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for reading my issue sheet. Glad to.
You're probably gonna be doing more often. You have
Yeah.
a great speaking voice.
So good at it.
So
Thank you.
We have to break the ice, but
I don't think I'll be here March 24th.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just.
Thank you for letting us know.
Bye, have a good
See ya.
night.
Just a quick